Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about finding the area of rectangles, and this is a brand new concept for you guys. So we're going to start with the basics and get an idea of what is area. What does that mean? So I've got a definition already written on here, and area is the amount of flat space a shape takes up. So for example, if I drew a long rectangle like this, the area would be all of the space that you can find inside the rectangle. So if you imagine this rectangle as a long sticker that I put on top of something, the area is how much space does that sticker take up of the original paper. Okay, so the area is sort of the inside space of a shape, a flat shape. Okay. And you can find the area of all different kinds of shapes. You can find how much space a triangle takes up, a circle, a square, a hexagon, a trapezoid. You can find the area of all these different shapes. But for now, we're sticking with simply finding the area of rectangles, okay? So if I drew a rectangle here, and you'll notice I used grid paper today, and that's because we are going to talk about how you find area using something called a square unit. So if I draw a rectangle like this, and I ask you, how many squares does it take to fill the space of that rectangle? We could count them, and I'm just going to go over them so you can see them really easily. Do you see how there's all those squares inside? And we can simply count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? We can count all those squares, and that's how you find the area, is how many squares fit inside, and we call these square units. Okay, these are called square units. Why do you think they're called square units? If you said because they're just a bunch of squares that you use to cover the space, you're absolutely right. So in this case, the area of this rectangle is 12 square units because it takes 12 little square units to fill up that space. Now, a couple things to know. If you were actually using like cubes or squares and you were going to tile them or put them on top, you want to make sure that when you're lining them up, you don't overlap, right? Because if you overlap, then you're covering less space. It takes more of them to cover up the space, and then you're doubling up. And we don't want to double up, right? We don't want any overlapping like we see here. Okay, so we don't want to actually, and we also don't want to do something like this, right? Because then we're not finding the area of all the space. So if I wanted to find the area of this rectangle, I wouldn't use squares like this and try to find it like this, because then there's parts that are missing. See all those parts on the inside that we haven't covered? Okay, when we find the area, we want the full space to be fully covered, just like we have here, with no overlap and no gaps. Okay, so I'm just going to put that up here. No overlapping, no overlap, and no gaps. Okay, when we find the area, we want to fill that space completely. Okay? So today what you're going to do is you're going to see a bunch of examples where there are some rectangles drawn for you, and your job, your goal, is to find the area of each rectangle and then write how many square units. So if I put a rectangle that looked something like this, you would find the area of this rectangle. So once again, and you don't have to draw these lines. I'm just drawing them for you so you can see them really easily. We could count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, look at that. What's the area of this rectangle? It's also 12 square units. I wonder why that is. That's very interesting, right? Because this, the red one, is 12 square units, and so is my yellow one, but they look different, right? So even though your shape might look different, it could possibly have the same area as another shape. Let's see if I could find another way to make a rectangle with an area of 12 square units. I wonder if you can think of another way. I'm going to try something. I'm going to go 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see if I've got it. I'm going to draw my lines here and count my squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you guys don't have to label the squares like I'm doing it. I'm just doing that so you can really see that I'm counting it. You guys don't have to do that. Just count them. Look at that. I made another rectangle with 12 square units, and it looks even different from the other two. I wonder how many I could make. So if you have some square items at home, Legos are great if you have those little square Legos, or if you have centimeter cubes, or Cheez-Its are also a great one to use as long as you don't use broken ones. If you have any little squares of anything, you can use those and see if you can find other ways to make a rectangle with an area of 12 square units. You will be asked to do this on your assignment today. You're going to find the area of one rectangle, and then it's going to ask you to draw a different rectangle with the same area. Guys, the key is a different rectangle with the same area. So you can't just redraw the same rectangle, but you can do what I did here. Do you notice how this side has 3 on this side and 4 on this side? And then this one has 4 on this side and 3 on this side? That's okay if you want to flip them like that. If you want to rotate them is what we would call that. Or you can do what I did here and try to find something brand new. Okay? Good luck. Go to it. Find some area. Don't forget to write your units of square units. Let me know if you need any help, and have